Well, I gotta say that Joker really is a true modern day masterpiece. I mean, in my last video on the Joker film, I didn't really go into great depth about it. I just gave my overall first impressions after seeing it the first time. I saw it the second time around, and again, it just gets better and better.
That was awkward. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I'm just skipping the intro. The intros are the big game, man.
Oh, okay. It's kind of weird how you're just having a strange way to introduce this, but yeah, it's just the two of us here. We're just gonna be having a short discussion about
Well,
Joker
yeah,
because
obviously,
I saw it yesterday.
yeah.
This is the date I saw it, um, and I wanted to go in to the theater this time around to see a good, really, really good film.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what everyone was saying, they're like, "Oh yeah, this film's great. You're gonna enjoy the shit out of it because it's not, modern day Hollywood where essentially what all they're gonna be doing is spoon feeding you the plot, and they're just saying like, yeah, this is the world. Look at all this cool shit, bright lights, flashing colors and shit."
Yeah,
And it's like, no, no,
it doesn't
here
ease you
here
into the
is
world.
here is this story, here is this world.
Yep.
Come on this journey, and you're gonna see what happens when a guy descends into madness, basically. Is the entirety of the narrative surrounding Joker.
Right.
And I think that's why so many people are saying that it is a masterpiece, because compared to what's coming out recently, Joker really does feel like a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like your typical comic book movie, because it's not.
It
It was
was
originally
originally
written.
supposed to be something
It
else entirely.
Yeah, it was originally just supposed to be a real movie, as the director called it, Todd Phillips.
Yep.
That's all it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a real movie, and no one was buying the script, so they just changed it slightly to be a Joker movie, and then Warner Brothers bought it, while still keeping all the integral plot details and message in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Like, say that, if it was bought by Warner Brothers without having any involvement with the DC world and characters, it would have to go through like I think a couple of alternate titles like the Dissension of Arthur Fleck, or, well, fittingly, Clown World, and
I don't think it'd be
it's
Clown World. I,
uh,
I honestly don't think it'd be Clown World, because again,
yeah, that
the,
sounds too
the
on
the
the nose.
original no, 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 the original script had nothing to do with the Joker. Keep in mind,
Well, yeah.
it had nothing to do with it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know what it was. It's just the entire story was basically, the guy, the director isn't allowed to tell jokes anymore because everyone's perpetually offended.
Yeah,
So he's just decided that instead, I'm going to make real movies, and I'm going to criticize you for basically telling everyone how to live their lives instead of just letting them live, live and let live.
you try to be funny in this woke world that we're living in. That's pretty much what he said. And considering before he did The Hangover, which is a pretty decent comedy, and
Yeah, then he kept making it over and over.
right, so yeah, it's just time to course correct, and he made a pretty great film. He is a goddamn artist, and Joker is his masterpiece.
Well, I don't think it was course correction. I think he just really wanted to just make people laugh.
Well, yeah, you get
But
what I mean. But and even
but
then, in this
because
woke world, well,
but because we do live in that society, that woke world, as you put it.
we live in a
Yeah,
society. Freaking meme, I love it.
yeah, because we live in that woke world.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there are
Todd Phillips
still.
isn't Todd Phillips isn't allowed. Really, any comedian isn't allowed to make fun of something because
It's.
it might offend somebody. So he just said, "Fuck it, all right, I'm going to mock you in my latest film, and I'm going to show you what happens when you don't allow people to be people.
Right?
You know, if you don't let them just express themselves in a non-violent way, and if you don't help them when they clearly need help, well, you get what you get. Or as Joker said at the end of the movie, you get what you fucking deserve."
Yeah, I love that line. Like that's going to be a very memorable line. Like the whole build up to it
Well,
is, and the
the
delivery
whole
is amazing.
sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he goes, "What do you get when you treat a mentally ill loner like trash? You get what you fucking deserve." Then he just shoots him.
Yeah. Murray Franklin. Goddamn. Robert De Niro. uh,
Yeah, and there's a lot of subtle nods to Scorsese's films, Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy specifically in this
mm-hmm.
film. A lot of subtle nods.
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen either film. I do want to see them now that I've seen Joker.
Right.
But to anyone who's like, "Oh, it's ripping off Taxi Driver, it's ripping off um, King of Comedy," keep in mind, I've never seen either one, but I highly doubt that it's ripping them off.
Hmm.
And it's not a ripoff if it has a similar premise like Taxi Driver. And again, I haven't seen Taxi Driver, but I know of Taxi Driver where um, Robert De Niro, correct? I don't know
Yeah.
why I get this confused. Yeah. So he plays a Vietnam vet in that. I know that. And he goes on. Well, he's paranoid. He's schizophrenic or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he has these these war flashbacks, and he's trying to protect this girl that he believes is in danger, and all this other shit. That's all I know about the movie
Mm-hmm.
is just the basic premise. But he's treated like garbage, similar to Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
despite him serving in the military and all this. The society just treats him like fucking garbage. So in order to feel better, he's rebelling against society, and that's what Arthur did as well. Except he's not doing it for political purposes. And I believe the same is with Robert De Niro's character in Taxi Driver. I
Hmm.
don't think I don't believe. Again, I haven't seen the movie. I do plan on watching it.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't seen it either. Might as well.
but I think again both have similar storylines, but what happens in them is unique to those characters. Because again, with as little information that I have on Taxi Driver, I know that Taxi Driver is not the same as this movie, and vice versa. This
Mm-hmm.
movie was clearly inspired by Taxi Driver, that's for sure, but in no way is it a ripoff of Taxi Driver. Again, limited information that I have, there's no way is it a ripoff.
Hmm. Yeah, it's more
But
like a tribute, if anything.
yeah, but the same as with King of Comedy. I mean, the fact that Robert De Niro plays the late night host,
Mm-hmm.
and then in King of Comedy, he wants to be on the late night host show. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing here. I see what Todd Phillips is doing. He's playing homage to these two classic Scorsese films.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool that he's doing that with this character. But it's true what they say, kind of. They don't make them like they used to, but then Joker comes along and it's like, oh, don't worry, someone liked those movies and he's bringing them back.
Right?
And and Joker is a reason why I would go to the movie theaters more often. Basically, if you have a movie like this where the script is really, really tight, It doesn't hold your hand. It just goes, here's this world, here's this character, sit back and enjoy. Just do that. Don't spoon feed crap to me. Don't tell me this is how the narrative's going to go. Don't tell me any of that shit. Just let me watch the series of events unfold.
Yeah, let's just slowly ease our way into this world, you know?
Well, it's not really slowly easing into it per se, because when we're introduced to it, Gotham is a shithole, and this was inspired by true life events in numerous cities during the 1970s. Like there was the London garbage riots, where the garbage men in London refused to pick up the garbage, and just piles upon piles of garbage. A similar event happened in New York. There were riots in New York back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, this is Gotham 81.
That was 1980. I mean, I could believe it was 1981.
Well, whatever. Like, pretty much late 70s, early 80s, you know?
Yeah, and that fits with the setting that they're in, which is actually New York, but they paint it off as Gotham. But it works. Course.
And and going into the New York setting for a moment, like, you know that one scene where, you know, Arthur is in his Joker outfit and makeup and he's just dancing triumphantly down in the stairs in the Bronx. That has become like a historic landmark for people to just dance about. That is fucking awesome. And the thing is, the mainstream media have tried so hard to actually warn people that this will incite violence, except it doesn't actually.
Well, nah, it did the opposite, but that's kind of a weird juxtaposition, my friend.
Yeah,
jumping into that was weird. So I want to point that out.
Well, yeah, it's the fact that you brought up the New York locations. You know, I thought I'd bring.
Well,
that
no,
up.
I brought that up because I wanted to just compliment the film in that it got the time period down like perfectly.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's very well shot.
And that's what I love about it, is that they were unabashed. Like, yes, this is going to be set in the 80s, early 80s, late 70s. When things were looking pretty shitty, no one knew what was going to happen. I mean, that was a transitional period for everybody.
Yep.
And going with what you said about the stairs in the Bronx, that whole scene was definitely a metaphor for Arthur's metamorphosis from the loner who refused to show his true face to society and just accept society's rules. He decided that society's rules are pretty fucked up, and he's done playing by the rules, and he's going to be who he is.
Yep. Hence him dancing triumphantly.
Yeah, and that was a really nice metaphor. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you know, the Joker character in this, he's not someone you can sympathize with because you feel bad for him. It's like, I think Sargon said this in his review. He's gonna do a full-on review.
Yeah.
Once the movie comes out on like Blu-ray and shit. But he said the character was more of a tragedy. I'm like, yeah, it is very tragic.
Yeah.
What happened to him, because this is someone who desperately needed society to succeed for him, but society ultimately failed, and so he just decided to fight back. Because society failed him so horribly.
Man,
I mean, a lot of people like to point to his shooting of the Wall Street guys as him crossing the line. I was like, no, that's definitely a starting point of his transformation.
Yeah,
but that wasn't him crossing the line.
Well, the thing is,
I would say like where it really started, if you want to count that scene, it wasn't the first two that he shot. The first two were definitely self-defense because they were beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
The third guy, he shot in the leg, and then he shot him in the back, so he crippled him.
Yeah,
and then he killed him deliberately. Then he killed him. Now the the third guy, I can see where people are coming from when they argue that that's when Arthur crossed the line. I'm like, not really, not really,
Hmm.
not in the way that you think. Because I could argue that that was manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
That was manslaughter because he was in a moment of distress, and he's not, mentally stable. So he probably didn't realize what he did was wrong until he got out of that state, which is why he ran to the bathroom, and then he went into another mental episode when he's dancing, and that whole sequence was creepy as shit
That
because
was
it's like,
very well shot, and
what
that,
is going on? Like,
yeah,
why is he doing this?
the
Why is he behaving this way?
yeah,
And I
it
think
you it
I think
makes you
that's a
wonder.
way. I think that's a way. This is how I interpret it every time he did that. That's a way for him to cope. Like, he's in his own world. He's not in the world that is just bleak and dark and just looks
Ah,
down upon him on every turn.
yeah, I guess it's pretty common for mentally ill people to just find some way to cope with something that they did wrong, but they are really not sure what they did that was
No,
wrong.
no, I
But
think that's just normal for people in general.
of
But
course,
the way he did it, it was very, very unsettling.
yeah, it was creepy, and yeah,
Yeah,
just the fact.
that's why, like I said, I think it works because it really shows you just how messed up this person actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the most common debates, though, with this movie is the gun itself. Like, did he fire all of his shots? I'm like, well, if you don't pay attention, I noticed this in the film when I went to go see it. Arthur has more than 6 bullets. Assuming that's a six shooter, he has probably 12, and he shot one in his wall, and he shot six in the guys in the subway.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shot, I did the math, I counted it. Oh no, wait, he didn't shoot 6 bullets because he shot the fat guy 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it might have been an 8 shooter revolver. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing too with this movie is because we're getting the narrative from Arthur's perspective, we don't know what is and isn't real sometimes. Like the girlfriend thing, like you can tell if you're paying attention the way the scenario is going. You're like, this is going way too perfect.
Right.
There is no way that this is real. Arthur is
Yeah.
imagining this.
Yeah. It is. It's just too um good to be true.
Plus, what really the thing that confused me though was when he got into her apartment. I'm like, how in the hell did he get in? How did he get in there?
I don't know. I guess he must have found a way to pick the lock or something. And
Well, again, the movie never shows it, but I think this is one of those times where it's fine that they didn't show it because it really starts to make you think, like, what is real and what's a fantasy in this regard. Maybe he got in because the mom forgot to lock the door. That's always a possibility. He just got in.
right.
And at first I thought that was his apartment, but I'm like, wait a minute. No, this is all just no, none of this makes sense.
Hmm.
And then we find out, what actually happened. It's like, wow, this is, yeah. And again, that's when the metamorphosis finally starts to sink in. The realization that he had, like, oh, all those times where my girlfriend was with me, that never happened.
Right. Yeah.
That never
It's
happened.
yeah. Like
And then
not
he
everything is all
finally
black and
he
white.
finally just he finally just snapped, and he just
Mm-hmm.
said fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
His last ray of hope, his last um anchor to society, just it went away, and now he's just full on fuck it mode. And again, I just love how they handled his entire character throughout this whole movie, where
Every scene he's in.
you are seeing a guy go from mentally unstable but willing to do anything he can to try and fit in to full on psychotic killer where he doesn't give a shit about the rules that society has in place.
And hence his saying, I've always thought that my life was a tragedy, but now it's a fucking comedy. I'm like, I agree that, the way society can treat someone like that is, yeah, we're pretty much just laughing with him, you know?
Well,
And,
no, because we can't sympathize with him. Like, yeah, you feel bad that all these bad things happen to him, but killing people isn't the way to solve his problems.
mm-hmm. Like, again, it pretty much just goes to show that, it's set in the late 70s to early 80s, but it more rather just speaks to today where America itself does have a mental health problem and people aren't going to see someone that they
Uh,
can rely on.
yeah, I mean, but that's like a universal thing. Because again,
Well, yeah, that
this is
too.
set in the 70s and the 80s where we also had mental health problems
Mm-hmm.
because we just got out of a war and everything.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter the time period. I think he just did that to pay homage to Scorsese. I mean, for fuck's sakes, the movie opens up with the old Warner Brothers logo, and the
Mm-hmm.
title sequence is very, very of that time period,
Mm-hmm.
which I like. That was actually a nice touch that they did that.
Yeah,
They
that
didn't
was
have to do it,
clever.
but they were fully committed.
Mm-hmm.
They were fully committed to making this look and feel like a movie that came out of that time period, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like that's only one of the messages in the film is when you don't treat the mentally ill properly, you get people like Arthur. But the
Mm-hmm.
other thing that Arthur brings up, and even though you can sympathize with him, you can't agree with him, he points out several times that the world is going crazy and people are rude and they don't treat each other like human beings. I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that can be applied to today, most definitely. I've seen this happen time and time again where people just don't seem to give a shit and they just want to take advantage of their fellow man.
Right. I
And
think,
that is rather tragic.
yeah.
But, that's the world we live in, and if we want to avoid that in the future, it's best to just not have that type of mentality.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the instances where you can sympathize with him is where he finds out his real past, you know? And, like, okay,
Well,
okay.
again, you don't really sympathize, you just feel bad for him.
Well, yeah, pretty
Because
much, it's,
again, he crossed the line.
yeah,
Where again, a lot of people argue the third subway kill. And I was like, that's him tipping over the edge. That's not him going over the edge.
right,
Him going over the edge was probably when he found out about his past and his mother. And
yeah,
that's when he just was like full on fucking mode.
yeah, it is pretty sad that, like, he was originally, told by his mother Penny that Thomas Wayne is his father, but
Yeah,
then
but she's fucking nuts.
yeah, she is fucking nuts, and then you
Yeah, she
go,
suffers from psychosis,
yep,
which is something that Arthur probably has too now.
right,
Uh, Given how he was mistreated as a child and everything, it's like,
yeah, like,
yeah,
is she just let her own boyfriend just abuse him? It's
yeah,
it's horrible. And yeah, I guess you can say that, yeah, you can't really you don't sympathize with him, but in a way you just understand him. You understand the struggles that he's going through and why he's doing the way he's doing things. He's just going full on fuck it mode, like he said.
yeah. And what pushed him over the edge was his mother, and then and that was to me crossing the line fully, was him just killing his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, breaking into his, well, we don't know if he broke in. Well, he had to have broken in because she freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we don't know how he got in. Either she left the door open, or, as you pointed out, maybe he broke in with him picking the lock. But we don't know because Arthur's not a reliable narrator.
Mm-hmm.
But as we see throughout this whole sequence of events, it's just one bad thing after another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't even talk about how his friend betrayed him after he gave him a gun, and his response when he got the gun was like, "Oh, I can't have a gun." And you go, "You got to protect yourself." And then he fucking, well, this was Arthur's fault. He brought the gun to his job at the children's hospital. I'm like, "Oh, Arthur.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh, Arthur, why would you do that?" Like, first of all, why didn't you put in your lab coat? Uh, and second, why would you bring your gun to to this? Oh,
Um,
you poor bastard.
I mean, yeah, he couldn't have thought of the idea that he might get jumped in the hospital room. Like, he wouldn't get jumped in there like he did in the beginning. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
really
keep in
not
mind,
that.
Gotham is in a state of unrest, so
Right.
he probably sought his way to protect himself. But he didn't have a gun holster or anything. But yeah, my point is, like, you're just watching it and you just think, why would you bring that with you? And then you do remember, like, oh, right, Arthur's not supposed to have a gun, period. And he just, X, Y, and Z happened, and it just kept
I will
happening.
admit though that that one scene where he just left his job when he after he got fired, like his exit was just fucking hilarious. Like, oh, I forgot to punch out, and he just destroys the
See, that's
time
the other
clock.
thing too. Like this technically is a Joker movie because the Joker is supposed to be kind of funny, and he does
Yeah.
have some clever jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
He destroys the
and
time
like
clock, and he
like
just
the
changed the sign on his way out. Don't smile.
right, but then when he's in the comedy club and he says, like, oh, like, they said I'd never be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now, or something like that. He says something pretty clever, like, "Oh, that's kind of funny. It's pretty good."
Yeah, like
And
even
then
he
didn't.
brings up that comedy is subjective.
Well, no. The I'm talking about when he's doing his stand up before he went
Right,
full on fuck it mode.
right.
When he's on Murray's um uh show, I think that was the director slash writer Todd Phillips speaking to the audience, like the whole comedy is subjective thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then him talking about how people mistreat each other and all
Mm-hmm.
this other stuff. I'm pretty sure that's Todd Phillips speaking to the audience, but he's doing it in a way that fits with Arthur's character,
Yep.
because Arthur was, told his whole life, be good to others, they'll be good to you, etc., etc. And he's learning that essentially those lessons were all a bunch of fucking lies, and his mother was a liar, his mother is awful, etc., etc. So all this is just piling up and boiling over for Arthur. And
Yeah, it's a pretty deep character study. It's, I
and
mean, wow.
again, the film, as I said, it doesn't hold your hand at all. The only, I guess, that would really be the only part that seems heavy-handed, but it's done in a way that's not insulting, and I really love that about the film.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it never once says, "Hey, stupid, look over here." It's like, no, 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 just here you go. Watch as all this plays out.
Yeah, and just think,
Oh, and also, what I really love about the film,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel slow once. Like, I never wanted to check the timer or anything. I'm just like, oh shit,
Yeah,
that was a fast 2 hours.
yeah, you're just completely immersed into the world of this film. It's amazing. Really. It's
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just getting into the violence too, the only time it got really violent
It
was the
was
scissor scene.
right. Yeah,
That was
that's
really
essentially the
it.
third act.
It's really quick too.
Uh-huh.
But
um,
my God, the amount of blood, holy shit.
oh man. But yeah, the poor fucker.
Oh, he
Uh
had it coming though. To
yeah,
be fair, he did have it coming.
he did give him the gun after all.
Yeah, and he treated him like shit. Like that dude
Mm-hmm.
was just an asshole.
Right?
Like you knew Arthur was gonna kill him at some point, and I would say that was the only kill you were rooting for. Probably, maybe
Yeah.
the Wall Street guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say maybe because the third one was running away a little bitch, and then Arthur killed him.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
inspired all those people in Gotham to say "death to the rich" or shit like that. We're all
well, no, what
clowns and all.
inspired them, what inspired them was what Thomas Wayne said about being clowns. Like these
Right?
people, if they're gonna act like clowns, they should be treated like clowns or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the one part I might have missed it though when I was watching the movie. I'd have to watch it again, but I'm gonna be cheap and I'm gonna wait until it's out on Blu-ray and shit.
Right?
But I don't remember Thomas Wayne calling the citizens of Gotham clowns, just the guy who shot the Wall Street guys a clown.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember him calling the citizens of Gotham clown. I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
would have to watch the movie again, like I said.
Yeah. People were debating whether it's either clown makeup or a clown mask, since the inspiration for
No, no,
them to
no, no,
actually
no, no,
protest.
no, no. What Thomas Wayne
Yeah.
said, the comment he made,
Yeah.
not the, not what people were discussing about the clown makeup or if it was a mask. That's irrelevant. I'm talking about what Thomas Wayne said. Again, I
Mm-hmm.
might have missed it, so I'd have to go back and watch it. And I
Yeah.
actually like how they portrayed Thomas Wayne in this because, as far as we're aware, Thomas Wayne was always a good man, blah 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 blah. Here they take a more realistic approach where one minute he's saying something to the camera, but then in the next minute he's completely different. He's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like most films where they're going to have one asshole character and he's basically just Donald Trump. That's not Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne is definitely a rich, aristocratic individual,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't say Thomas Wayne is a bad person. Like, he doesn't come off like that. He's an asshole. That's for sure. He's a complete asshole, but I don't think he's a bad person.
Right.
But the way Thomas Wayne treats those who are lower than him in terms of his financial status is really, really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
So I could kind of see, like, maybe that was the narrative because it certainly felt that way. But again, I might have missed the comment or I misinterpreted the comment about the clown thing. But the way he treats, again, people who are lower than him, it's very, very stereotypical behavior for someone who is quote unquote rich. So I think I think that's what they were trying to go for with his character, definitely, is that he's a clouded elitist who doesn't understand the plights of the little people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually a really good way to portray Tommy instead of just being this goody two shoes guy that always did right and was never a cutthroat. Then how did he become a billionaire if he wasn't a cutthroat? Because in order to be a billionaire, you have to be ruthless in the boardroom.
Right. It's yeah, it's a pretty complicated way of getting rich. Like if you unless you actually know the economics and shit.
Well, no, I mean that's just how you get rich. You have to be ruthless and a cutthroat,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is what they show Thomas Wayne as being. But again, they never show him as a bad person. Like he never once makes comment about people's race. He never thinks ill of his son or his wife, maybe it's true. Maybe he did genuinely love his family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his comments about the downtrodden, I don't know. I'd have to watch the movie again. But again, I do like how they expanded more on his character. Like he wasn't again just this paragon of niceness.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we didn't know much about Bruce's parents. I mean, we learned more about Thomas Wayne in this than we have in any other media, as far as I'm aware. We still don't know much about Martha, other than she shares the same name as Superman's mom.
Oh god, that fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna remind people of that.
Why do you say that name? Like, that is so laughably bad, I swear to God. I'm like,
Yeah,
really? They're
that's what
gonna
makes it
go
funny.
that? They're gonna go
Yeah,
that
that's what makes it
route?
funny. That's what makes
Oh.
it funny.
Yeah, I'm glad that, this movie doesn't share any continuity with the other DC films. Like, pretty much in a way, they can stand on their own. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the whole point of this project. They're calling it DCU Black or something, and these movies are supposed to be experimental films that deal with the darker storylines or
right.
darker characters in the DC property.
I guess you can kind of say the same about Shazam. I mean, there are Easter eggs here and there, but it's more of a family movie first rather than a superhero movie.
But it's not part of DC Black.
Of
Joker was the
I
first
know.
one to launch it. That was DCU bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about like the DCEU films in general. Like, they can have their own ways of just standing on their own, and yeah, Joker
But
does
they're
stand
not
on its
doing
own,
it.
does not share any continuity with those films.
But
It's
again,
just
they're
its
not
own thing.
they're not doing that. They're not doing that with the DCEU. They're trying to copy Marvel and they're failing. This being its own thing and setting the tone is making the DCEU palatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. So if this is what it's like now, then I'll watch more of it.
Yeah, I'll keep coming back for more if it means more of Joker.
Well, we're not going to get more of Joker. This is a special kind of film
Right.
that you can only probably do once.
Yeah, you can't really capture the same lightning in a jar twice, you know?
Well, from what I hear, they're planning on doing a sequel, even though Joaquin and Todd Phillips never planned for a sequel. But
I
because
don't
the
know.
movie's making a shit ton of money, especially when you look at its budget, which was about $50 million to $60 million.
Yeah, that is that is pretty low budget.
Well, for a Hollywood produced
Y-
film, it's low
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
But they used the budget where it was necessary. Like, all right, we're just going to focus on the characters. There's no flashy special effects. There's none of this shit.
Well, it's
None of
more
that.
it's more
None of that goes
over
there.
it's more over character
Again,
than characters,
well, yeah, that's what I was saying.
of
the
course.
the budget the budget is going to this actor. It's going to this city. We need it for these vehicles. We need it for this location.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the only special effects I assume that they had to do was change names of hospitals. So whatever hospital they shot at, because I'm pretty sure they shot at a hospital in New York,
Yeah,
they had to
I'm
change it from what it was called to
Arkham State
Arkham.
Hospital.
Yeah, yeah, Arkham State Hospital.
Yep.
And also, I like the license plates too. That was a
Mm-hmm.
nice touch. Industry first. I'm like, okay, I like that because it's kind of a reference to Empire State and all that. I like how they did that with the license plates. That was nice.
Yeah.
Nice little touch there. And if you do that type of stuff, it makes the universe way more believable than
Mm-hmm.
if you were to um, try and film it in New York and never acknowledge that it's in New York, despite tons and tons of signs saying New York. Like that's kind of weird. That it's like, oh no, this is Gotham, but it says New York. So what the fuck's going on?
Right. And again, going to that Bronx stairs scene, yeah, I mean, it's clearly New York.
Well, yeah, I
And,
mean, where else would they be able to shoot this to make it look like Gotham?
right?
They Chicago, obviously, a lot of people would say Chicago, but to really, really get that feeling that he wanted, obviously, he wanted to film it in what was once the most dangerous neighborhood in America. I mean, the Bronx is still dangerous. Don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it makes sense for him to film there and to film near Harlem and all these other places in order to capture that feeling, which I think is great. I also think what works well in this film is the relationship between Arthur and his mom. I mean, it's clearly unhealthy to some
Mm-hmm.
degree, but yeah, I mean, I would love to do an in-depth discussion beyond what we've discussed here. But overall, I do want to see more movies like Joker. I want movies to go
Same.
back to what Joker is about, which is like, look, we want to tell a story. Here's our story. Here's our characters. Here's our setting. We're not going
Mm-hmm.
to spoon feed you the information. It's like, look, here's everything laid out for you. You put it together. What do you think's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Or again, like if you want to do like a straightforward narrative, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But but
Like,
I don't want exposition dumps. I don't want you spoon feeding me crap when the scene can just speak for itself.
right? I mean, movies like, Avengers Endgame, like, it's good, but you're not really thinking much. You get your money's worth. You want to see the conclusion of all these characters being put together in this cinematic event, and I would have to agree with Martin Scorsese in that regard that the MCU films aren't really cinema. They are pretty much like theme
Well, no,
parks.
they are. They
I
are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I can kind of see where he's coming from. That yeah, they are
But
like the
the
Avengers
thing
films in
is,
particular are cinematic events. Like even with
but
Infinity War
but no
and
no no
Thanos'
they're
character
no no
piece,
no 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 they're movies. They are movies. Like his argument doesn't hold water. But the problem with those movies is that it holds your hand the whole time. Like make sure you pay attention to everything that's going on because if you don't, you're gonna be lost.
right? Again, like
And then
they're
but then again, when it gets to like the battle sequences, a lot of people complain about there's like no physical contact. It's just a bunch of CGI bullshit. Yeah, I agree.
mm-hmm,
That does make it look less intimidating and etc. And that makes it more lame than anything. It doesn't make it better. But I think like the way to fix modern day cinema would be, well, look at the classic Star Wars films. Like, well, why bring those up? Well, again, those are action movies and those are fantasy and blah 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 blah. And those are meant to be popcorn movies, but they don't hold your hand either. It's just like, look, here's this world. Here are these characters. Here's what's going on. Now, just enjoy the movie. Just pay attention to little things because we're going to be telling a
mm-hmm.
story through the camera. We're going to be telling a story through these characters. We're not going to rely on exposition dumps. We're not going to rely on all this other crap. We're going to spoon feed you the movie. You need to be paying attention to understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's just what I
It
mean. Like the MCU, like some of the MCU movies are better than others, but yeah, you're not really thinking much. You're not completely immersed into a world like Joker's.
Well, again, that's where I'd have to disagree because you are, but the MCU, the biggest problem that it has is that it relies heavily on exposition.
Right.
It doesn't just take advantage of the medium of film, which is, hey, let's tell a story through film. Let's just let the camera do the talking. The characters, they can talk. but the actions are more important than the talking. The talking just adds more to who they are as people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest cardinal sin that I've seen with a lot of movies now, is just I'm looking at it and I'm just like, what the fuck happened to movies? I used to be
Mm-hmm.
excited going to the movie theater. Now I don't give a flying.
Yeah, me neither. I mean,
And
I'm
but
searching,
then
but I'm not really getting a lot like
but
Joker.
right, but then you get movies like Joker where it's like, okay, we're going to focus on this particular character. This character is driving the plot. The plot
Yeah.
isn't, moving forward, and they need, and the plot needs this character to move along with the plot. No, the character is driving the plot forward, and the world isn't centered around him. He is the focal point, but the world still goes on with him, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how it should be. The world can be affected by him, sure, but the world isn't centered around Arthur.
Yep.
At least not until the end, but that is most definitely inside his head.
Yeah, like the whole sequence where after he kills Murray and he's being brought to prison and then gets breaking out by the rioters, and then he just smears the blood from his mouth across his face. I think at that point that is where he became the Joker. But then again, it could be all in his head and he's just brought into the mental institution.
Well, no, I really think that was in his head, because what are the odds that an ambulance was hijacked by a rioter and they knew exactly where he was?
Mm.
And they hit him at the exact moment when they had to. And what are the odds that he did not die from getting hit like that? He wasn't. He didn't have his seatbelt on or anything, man. Like
Yeah.
he got a full, like a full frontal, like top speed ambulance slam into him, and he was
Mm-hmm.
tossed across the police car.
Yeah.
Like he probably has like a brain hemorrhage or a concussion or both. There's no way that he was able to stand up and act like their messiah.
It was a pretty cool scene, though. It was very well shot, and I would have to
Yeah,
give the
again,
cinematographer Lawrence Sher this. It, the shots in the film really get you immersed into its world,
well,
and
they tell a story.
yeah, they do.
They tell a story, and that's good. Like
And
the most symbolic is the stairs. Like every time Arthur goes up the stairs, they're always lit in darkness, and it's always dread.
right.
But then when he goes out, and he walks down the stairs of his place of work, it's a bright light, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when I like the transition starts to begin. Is in that scene when he's going through that, like he's going through the pearly gates and he's becoming someone new. And then the transformation is complete when he's going down the stairs, and he's not going down them in sadness. He's going down with joy
Mm-hmm.
and vigor. And it's a
Yeah.
bright sunny day.
Yeah, and I do think that the entire soundtrack of the film really complements all these
Oh,
shots in this whole story.
that's because they chose music appropriate for scenes and for the time period. That is always lovely to see. I love that.
Right.
I was
And
worried about Rock and Roll Part 2. And I'm like,
yeah.
wait a minute, I thought that was a song from the 90s. No, I checked. It was a song from 1973. So it's appropriate.
Right?
And speaking of cinematography, a lot of people love to bring it up, and I love to bring it up too, because one of the things I've noticed with modern day cinematography is that they don't let shots linger.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you let a shot linger for too long, yes, it's annoying and it's fucking bullshit. But a lot of action movies, they don't let a scene breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really annoying because of the fast cut editing bullshit that we've seen time and time again. This movie, it lets the scenes just breathe. It doesn't like do fast cutting. The only time I would say fast cutting took place was again on the train.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because it makes sense, because it's fucking frantic.
Mm-hmm.
Because Arthur's getting jumped, he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he shoots the two guys. Then he shoots the guy in the leg, and it's like, okay, this is getting intense, intense, intense. And then the final shot is just this very wide shot. Arthur's out of frame. He shoots the guy. He's crippled, and then Arthur methodically just walks up to him as he's crawling desperately up the stairs, and bang, bang, right in the back. He's dead.
Yeah, and his expression just says it all. It's it's amazing. Like, you just
that whole sequence was just shot beautifully, and
yeah.
the acting was on point the entire time.
And I will say
and that's
that
the other thing too. Like I want to see more performances out of everyone like this, because there was not a single bad performance. I mentioned that earlier, especially with the kids. You know, if we get more now, the kids, that's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
But just getting good performances from every single actor, that's great, because that just means the movie's better for it when everyone's bringing their A game.
People are wanting Joaquin Phoenix to get an Oscar for his performance, but he likely won't, because the Oscars are more like the Oppression Olympics. And
well,
now,
at this point, they're the Oppression Olympics. They don't acknowledge good cinema. What they choose to be good cinema will get the award. When it comes to movies like Joker that definitely deserve nominations for Best Cinematography, Best Director, Best Actor, potentially Best Picture,
I would say Best Musical Score as well. I mean, the musical score by Hildur,
Best Soundtrack.
It's a pretty
soundtrack and Best Musical Score for sure. Like, again, when the music plays, when Arthur is just down on his luck, like that sad violin music. I think it was violin. Like, you are in the same exact feeling as Arthur. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is depressing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, yeah, like, you again, you don't really sympathize for him, but yeah, there are like a few sad scenes in there.
You kind of sympathize with him at the beginning, keep in mind. He hasn't crossed the line yet. He hasn't crossed the line.
Right.
When he again, a lot of people argue the subway. I argue his mother, but pointless disagreements aside, he crosses that line, and then his sadness. You're just like, oh, Arthur, oh, why?
And the way he copes with it is just unsettling. Man, again, this is a great character piece. You know, I want to see more movies like this. You know, like, the movie belongs to Joaquin Phoenix. He's in every scene.
I just want movies to go back to just telling a story. And if you have a message, the message should be part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. I don't want movies to preach to me. I don't want movies to treat me like I'm a fucking child. You know, I just want movies to be fucking movies again. You know, a form of storytelling. Instead of whatever the hell they've become.
Right. Man, yeah, going to the numbers so far, like, as of October 25th, it has grossed $785.5 million worldwide, except for China.
Yeah, it's not allowed in China. It's allowed in Hong Kong, but not China, not mainland China.
Right.
I would love for the Hong Kong protesters to go see this movie, and then they just walk around with Joker masks.
Right?
Or paint their face as the Joker.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going as Joaquin Phoenix's Joker for Halloween. I'm just gonna masquerade about as Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Oh, man.
I'm gonna do, like, legit cosplay, where I'm gonna get, like, a blazer and everything, and dye my hair green.
Right. Yeah, like, 3 weeks, and yeah, it just topped the first Deadpool's 127 days. And yeah, at that time, that was the highest grossing R-rated film until, Joker dethroned it. And Ryan Reynolds really gave a pretty congratulatory speech.
it's on its way of becoming the highest grossing R-rated film.
Yeah, it's, I would say, yeah,
Domestically, it's doing extremely well. I looked at the numbers for that. It's made over $200 million
yeah, like,
domestically.
and again, going to the mainstream media for a moment, like, they're fear-mongering that, oh, this is going to incite violence. Please shut up. You're not
Well, no,
helping.
it did the opposite.
Yeah, it did the
It did the
opposite.
exact opposite.
And I mean, come on, can't you just let sane individuals have this? I mean, Hollywood up to this
Well,
point is
no, they want to fearmonger, as you pointed out. So in order for that to work, they had to make sure that Joker failed, but it didn't. All it did was just make people want to go see it more, because it's like,
right.
fuck it. If you're saying that the movie, a movie that I'm looking at, and I don't see how this could inspire any sort of violence in any way, then it must be good, because you don't want me to see this.
Yeah, so again, like they're we just want to have shit like this now, not what they're spoon feeding us.
Not
I mean,
well, I don't want the woke agenda for focusing on, you know, mainstream media. I don't want that shit.
right, and again, I want to get to this point. Hollywood up to this point is filled to the brim with Chinaman semen.
Well, they want that sweet communist cummies. That's what they want.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'm glad that the film isn't in China. Now, I'm not glad that, the average Chinese citizen can't get it, but
unless
the
they
fact that
use a VPN or
the
something.
well, if they can get their hands on, because China banned those.
Oh man.
But the fact that their government is so controlling and everything, like, this is ridiculous. That's because of a difference in values, but that's a different discussion for another time. But
Right.
a point is, yeah, the film is doing great, and it's a good movie. It's a movie that is worth seeing in the theater at least once if you want to watch it.
I want to see it a third time.
I would definitely say go and watch the movie if you haven't already, because it's really good.
Yeah.
But it's not for everyone. I would say one of our friends got upset because Joker's girlfriend broke up with him, and we tried to explain to her, like, sweetie, that she's not real.
Yeah, that relationship was fabricated in his head. Not everything is black and white.
Yeah, and she's like, I just didn't enjoy the movie. I'm like, okay.
It's fine.
Sounds like
it's
you
fine.
misinterpreted the film, to be honest, but that's fine if you didn't like it.
It's fine.
I don't understand why you don't like it, because it's really, really good. But all right,
it's
you can
okay.
be wrong. That's fine. Trust us, we love her to death, but her taste in movies is really bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, with me, for instance, I too have like some sort of bizarre taste, like, and I'm still searching for another great movie like Joker, even if I have to plow through a lot. Yeah,
they exist. It's called Taxi Driver, and apparently King of Comedy. I mean, again, I haven't seen these Scorsese films. I'm not sure if I've seen any Scorsese film.
Well, yeah, those. And, truly, for sure, you have not seen Scorsese's Hugo. That is really damn good.
No, I have not seen Hugo. I heard it was good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any Scorsese film. I think I saw The Deer Hunter. I think that was Scorsese.
Yeah. I'm just talking about this modern day cinema. Like, I'm still searching for another great film like Joker. And
well, like, I think if I'm going to be fair here, I think if we, as the movie going public, just tell Hollywood, because look, I don't want Hollywood to go away. As much as they piss me off with their never-ending bullshittery, I just want good fucking movies. Stop with this fucking propaganda and stop sucking on China's STD commie cock. Fucking stop.
Right. Oh my god.
Just make these kind of movies. Like, Americans still want to see movies. It's not that they're against movies. I mean, for fuck's sakes, the Joker domestically made a ton of money. It's like, okay, so how do we get those kind of numbers? Make an American style film, make an Americana film.
Mm-hmm.
Stop pandering to people who aren't American. That's how you get shit tons of money, you dumbass.
Oh man, I
And
I'm
also,
so
don't insult the audience's intelligence when you are
right,
pandering.
right.
Like for example, like let's say you want to make a movie and the character is gay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're just gay. It's not a big deal. They're just gay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's their life, here's what they do, and by the way, they bonk with the same sex when they come home.
Right. It's
There you go. It's not a big deal.
yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like it does as long as it doesn't affect the storytelling in the grand scheme of things. I mean, people. I mean, like a couple of individuals that I found on Twitter, like Wish Upon a Vlog, for instance. You know, like she was, all up in arms about, the opening scene in It's Chapter 2, where a gay couple is getting beat up to shit, and we find out
Are you
about.
saying that gay people can't be murdered? That would be my response. Are you saying that they can't be murdered ever? Who's the one that's treating gay people like shit? It's not the movie. It's just treating them like everyone else because it killed a bunch of people in the past. It didn't give a shit how old they were, what sexuality they were. It just wanted to eat.
Yeah, Wish Upon a Vlog was trying to argue that the movie was woke. It wasn't, but it's just really
Oh,
stupid.
but see that's the thing. When you allow your politics to go far, now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of movies that have woke bullshit in it.
Right?
There's lots of media that has that crap in it. There's lots.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're seeing, it's just surface level crap. Because a lot of it is just really, really shitty writing.
Yeah.
Like fucking Batwoman.
Oh my
Like in the
god.
trailers, it makes it look woke as fuck. But if you've watched all the reactions or reviews, it's like it's not that woke. It's just the writing is really shitty. And I tried watching the first episode. I realized we're kind of going into like Batwoman, but I really want to talk about this just for a hot second.
Yeah.
The writing in that is so shitty. Like it's really, really bad.
Oh my god.
And then the effects in it are also shitty. It literally, when people say it's like The Birds, or no, not like The Birds, it's like Birdemic.
Yeah.
They're not lying. The bats look like they came out of fucking Birdemic, and it's hilarious. And all everything else, like the characterization of Batwoman, the fight scenes, the cinematography, it's all really shitty. And don't give me the excuse of, oh, it's a TV show. That's no excuse. That is no excuse for it looking that shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no excuse for the writing to be that shitty. I have seen lower budget crap on YouTube that has better writing than this shit.
Right?
That is no excuse for something that has this much money backing it from the same company, mind you, to have a show this bad. And speaking of shows that are just as bad, Watchmen. Ooh, that did not do well. Meanwhile, Joker made a shit ton of money the weekend that thing premiered. I think it was like its third week or second week in a row. Joker made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Watchmen premieres and no one cares.
Yeah, we're pretty much. We've got done with its third week and it's still making money. And I want to see it again, the third time. And that'll be it for me.
You keep saying it. You want to see it again. Then you're going to fucking buy the Blu-ray. And then you're going to make a copy of it. And then you're going to watch it again. And then you're going to do an analysis of it because you want to talk about the film again.
Yeah, because when Hollywood, when some...
It's not Hollywood. It's okay, we'll phrase it like this. I think this is the better way to phrase it. When Hollywood gives the right amount of money to the right person, they can make shit like Joker.
Yeah, exactly what I mean.
When you give money to the wrong kind of people who don't give a shit about what they're doing, like the people behind Captain Marvel, you get Captain Marvel.
Oh
Oh, but
god.
Captain Marvel made a shit ton of money too. Yes,
It,
but you know what's bad about Captain Marvel? Keep this in mind. When people first saw it, they're like, "Oh, that wasn't very good."
no shit.
Most audiences thought it wasn't very good. The best I could find was it was average.
Right? Like, it's a
That's the
very...
best I could find
Yeah,
in terms of an honest review from an audience member.
yeah, most of it is very meh, while the rest are just, hating on it. I've seen Weaponized Nerd Rage's video on it. I've rented the movie from Redbox, and I just fucking hated it. I just cringed at every
Oh
scene,
yeah,
and
I mean, if we're talking about a movie that's supposed to be inspiring and shit, it's anything but that. This thing fucking hates you while you're watching it. It just talks down to you the whole time.
I'm just gonna say this now: Shazam is a better Captain Marvel than Captain Marvel. And it's actually
And
the
Shazam
most...
wasn't that good. Let's be honest here, it wasn't that good.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
I liked...
that's pretty fucking sad.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it more than Captain Marvel. I can say that much about it. I do like some of the comedy bits with Zachary Levi and all, but still, it's more like a family movie first and a superhero movie
Yeah,
second.
but that's no excuse. Again, if we're gonna be holding writing and all this to the same standard, then we can't give Captain Marvel or Shazam a pass.
Yeah.
Period.
Mm.
That's why I said that's pretty sad when Shazam is a better movie, because that wasn't very good.
Yeah. I'm just saying I liked it more. I'm like, I enjoyed myself better with that one than just that cringe fest that Marvel brought up. And that was supposed to lead into the finale of the MCU. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna...
and keep in mind that's the only reason why it made a shit ton of money. It was leading into Endgame.
Right? And
That's it.
and that's the thing, and considering that Marvel is just going more with their films after Endgame, I'm like, I mean, seriously, you're going to make more after a
Well,
definitive
yeah,
end?
of course, they're gonna make more
I
because
mean,
this is making them money. But that's beside the point. They have a new age of superheroes, and there's always going to be evil, blah blah. But
yeah.
again, with what's going on now, it seems like Marvel is trying to do a bit of course correction because it's like, oh, people really don't like Carol Danvers. Like, yeah, people don't like her because the actress is kind of a bitch.
No shit.
That's
and
one of the main reasons why they don't like her. The
and
other reason is the writing for her is absolute dumpster fire trash.
And yeah, here's the thing too. Here's some interesting trivia. Joaquin Phoenix was originally supposed to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Bruce Banner, the Hulk, or Doctor Strange, but was turned down. Actually, no, he declined to act in the MCU.
Some with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he would have been required to, play as Bruce Banner in the Hulk or Doctor Strange in multiple films. But I'm glad that I'm glad that you turned it down and they went with a decent choice with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, but I thought he played Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk.
No, that's Edward Norton.
Oh, right. Yeah, Edward Norton has a beef with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, he fucking hates him.
Oh Jesus, I guess I can understand that. I mean, Edward Norton was so dedicated to making the Incredible Hulk good because he is a fan of the character.
Well, I mean, we got Mark Ruffalo, which was a pretty good replacement in all honesty.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
that's...
that was quite surprising. I have a bit of a bias though because he's from Wisconsin. I think he's from La Crosse. I think that's where he's from, so I have a bit of a bias with him. But regardless, again with Joker, I hope that this is a new standard, or at least we go back to that standard where it's like, look, here's the story, here's the characters, pay attention and enjoy the movie.
Yeah, do not spoon feed us shit. And if you want to deliver a message, just don't treat the audience like idiots.
No, just incorporate it with the plot and the characters, and you're fine.
Yeah.
In fact, the message will be stronger because of that.
And if fully delivered. And yeah, again, my final rating for Joker is, well, it's still S. It's the S rank. And
yeah, I mean, so far it's the best movie I've seen this year, at least from the West. I also saw Premiere, and so far that's the only Japanese film I've seen. I'm sure there's others I have yet to see.
Yeah, I've heard Premiere was good. I've seen English dub trailers for it. It looks amazing. Oh man, I still want to get the Blu-ray. But
yeah, he forgot the date. I'm like, I never forget anything involving Studio Trigger.
Yeah, like it slipped my mind. There was just a lot of shit going on my end. But still, regardless, yeah, Joker, a great modern day masterpiece. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. Just again, this thing is making a lot of money.
I want to add one thing. You know what's really funny?
Yeah.
Is parents are taking like 9-year-olds and shit to see this movie.
Oh yeah, I noticed that as well. I've noticed in my theater, like the first time, and my friend and I saw it. Yeah, we saw like a few kids in the movie theater, even though it is clearly R-rated.
Especially with that scissor scene.
That goddamn scissor scene, and of course, people will be dropping F-bombs everywhere, you know.
But no one cares about that. I'm just talking about the scissor scene. I'm like, holy shit, how can these kids sit through the scissor scene?
Right? It's unbelievable.
Everyone's like, what's with the scissor scene? Like, go watch the movie and you'll see the scissor scene.
Oh my god. Like, this is not a kid-friendly film. This is a disturbing, well shot,
you know what it's like? Imagine showing a kid Taxi Driver or The Deer Hunter. That's basically what this movie is.
Right?
And again, I saw The Deer Hunter, at least part of The Deer Hunter, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My dad had it on, and it was the part where Christopher Walken and whoever the other guy was, they were captured by the Viet Cong and they were forced to play Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day on TV when they had balls. So they showed the scene where Christopher Walken blows his brains out.
Oh, man. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so I saw that when I was a little kid. they showed the scene where Christopher Walken blows his brains out and his best friend is losing his shit. And I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, Jesus.
And that's all I remember from that movie. You know, my house was weird growing up. Like, sometimes parents would let me watch a rated R movie, and then other times they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's kind of the same scenario with me, although I've watched TV versions of those R-rated films, especially involving horror. Yeah,
see, that was the one part where TV was hit or miss in terms of having balls.
Right.
Sometimes they would show the death scene. Other times they wouldn't.
Or if you're
really
going with dialogue changes, like for instance, when airing Ghostbusters, the original. Oh, you know they
cut the part out they cut that out. Like, it's not even in there.
Yeah, the scene where Peter Venkman
says,
"This guy has no dick.
This man has no dick."
Right? And yeah, they changed the dialogue there. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
No, they cut it out now. Like, it's not even there. It ruins the scene.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I fucking hate that. But then again, that's a good movie.
Yeah. But
I would just say like that should just be shown to kids. Like, they'll enjoy Ghostbusters. Don't show the remake though. That's a pile of shit. That movie sucks.
I'm hoping that the new one from 2020, like the true follow-up to Ghostbusters 1 and 2, will be a lot better, you know?
The true follow-up already happened with Ghostbusters the video game.
Well, yeah, you can argue that too. That actually was Ghostbusters 3 when watching the cutscenes and everything. I have the game. I don't have the remastered version. fuck Epic.
That's on the Epic store. That's why.
Yeah, fuck Epic. And yeah, I haven't really gone around to playing it yet, but watching the cutscenes, it feels like, yeah, you are watching the third movie.
That's because you are. It's because the third movie was about the Ghostbusters going to hell.
Yep.
Actually, the title was Ghostbusters Go to Hell.
I thought it was Ghostbusters Hellbent.
I think it was both, really. Both sound familiar. But
yeah, it's
yeah. As for like how I would rate Joker, kind of getting back to that, yeah, it's 10 out of 10. I would not say this is a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I'd have to watch it just to see if there's like little tiny things, and it's got to be very, very tiny. Because on my first viewing, I didn't notice like any plot holes or contrivances or anything bizarre. It just all felt like it flowed naturally.
It deserves the critical consensus from the fans, the audiences, and yeah, it premiered at the Venice Film Festival, and after it was shown,
won, I think, didn't it?
It won the
like Best Picture or something at Venice.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up. Like the let's see, marketing.
I have the list of the accolades right here.
Yeah, they
let's see.
Yeah,
Boggy Award. Oh yeah, Venice Golden Lion. I think that's like the top. Yeah, the highest prize. It won that.
Yep, and it got an 8-minute long standing ovation after it was over.
Yeah, it deserves it.
Yeah, it deserves the praise it's been getting. Do not listen to the mainstream media, although if you have heard the bullshit that's been spewing out of them, go see it anyway.
Here's the rule of thumb when it comes to mainstream media critics.
Yeah?
Do the exact opposite of what they're telling you.
Right. That's what I mean. So yeah, Joker is a modern-day masterpiece. It really deserves the praise it's been getting. It's well shot, well acted. The music is well composed.
The original music. The soundtrack in general is excellent.
Yeah.
All of it is appropriate for the time period.
Of course. Well, yeah, of course the songs, but I'm talking about the musical score. Yeah, it really fits pretty well.
I'm just saying in general, the music is perfect.
Yeah. I guess this is where we end things here. So, thank you all so much for tuning in to this little discussion video that MorphBox and I are, coming up with. Well,
maybe we'll do more of these in the future if we watch something good or something really shitty.
Yeah. Well, let's we'll pretty much just alternate between who, either the both of us or just, you, me, and Peter Flynn. But anyways,
it depends, if he wants to do it, because I asked him before we did this. He was like, nah, I'm good. He's more happy with just the two of us going back and forth. I'm like, all right, that's fine, we can totally do that. So again, I mean, if we want to do this again, I'm totally down for doing it. It's just it has to be something that's kind of worth both our time. Like if we watch something really shitty, like if it's really bad and we both see it, like totally, we should totally talk about it.
Yeah, or we could just do like what Muller and the rest of the EFAP crew are doing, like just do full-on reactions and discussions about shit that's coming out nowadays.
I saw that. Like just today, they had a Saturday EFAP, which is very rare.
Yeah.
They usually have Sunday EFAPs, but they had Saturday EFAP, and they were talking about Batwoman episode 3, and they had Jay Longbone on, which, by the way, I want to praise her. I'm like, yay, she's almost at 70,000 subscribers. Please subscribe to her if you haven't already. She is good.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a sassy black woman, and she doesn't she doesn't use that to her advantage, as in she doesn't play a victim. She's just who she is, and she just happens to be a sassy black woman.
Yes.
And she's really funny. She is really funny. Like, my God, I'm so happy I have her in my subscriptions, because now I get to laugh at shit, and I also get to learn shit from her as well. Like, she loves film.
Mm-hmm.
And all this other, like, I'm so glad we actually have real critics instead of the shit we get out of Hollywood, which are just a bunch of sellouts.
Corporate shills.
Yes.
But yeah, anyways.
But enough of the plugging of people have more subscribers than Justin or I. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you go.
Go see Joker.
Yeah,
Bottom line, go see it. Great
great.
film. Highly
Yeah, great
recommended.
film.
Probably the best film you're going to see the entire year because, let's face it, Hollywood is just shitting out garbage.
Yeah, it's my
I
favorite.
just thought of something.
Yeah.
I just thought of something. We could do Ralph Breaks the Internet if people want us to talk about something that's awful. And I've been wanting to shit on Disney for quite a while now because they keep making fucking garbage.
Yeah, same. I've been wanting to do like a full-on analysis, but I figured I can't do this alone. Let's get my buddy MorphBox here with me, just so we can actually cover this shit. And, and by God, I'm like, this is my most hated Disney movie by far. I'm like, I'm sorry, Chicken Little. I'm sorry, Home on the Range. I'm sorry, Brother Bear. Just God.
No,
damn
don't
this
apologize
movie.
to Home on the Range. That movie is trash.
Oh yeah, it still is. Don't get me wrong, but God, like Ralph Breaks the Internet just takes the
other
fucking
two you
cake.
can apologize for. I will accept those, but Home on the Range, no, that is trash. And that movie basically killed the 2D animation studio.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Home on the Range.
Yeah. Still, well, let's save that for another time. So in the meantime, you go see Joker. You subscribe to me. Subscribe to MorphBox. We're here on social media. Well,
I don't have any content up on YouTube, and I'm not sure if I will ever post anything. I've been thinking about it for a while, but if you do want to follow me, I'm most active on Minds, so go follow me there.
Yeah,
and I have links to all my Fediverse channels if you want to follow me there.
Yeah, I'll provide links to his social media and mine in the description. Go ahead and subscribe to me for more discussion videos and analysis videos, voice acting stuff, and yeah, just full on anime and game reviews as well. I'm coming up with a video timeline now.
Maybe a film review every once in a while.
Yeah.
If it's worth his time, let's be fair.
Yeah, because again, I want to cover Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I can't really do this alone. I need someone who is as sane as me to help me.
I need you to understand my pain.
Yes,
right?
yes, understand my pain, Morph. I can't do this alone.
Well, dude, I fucked the pain away when I realized just how shitty Disney movies are. I came to this realization after I watched Frozen. I was like, wait a minute. That movie wasn't very good. Why were people saying it was good? And I just got done watching it. I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. I'm like, wait a minute. This plot point doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Why are people saying this movie's good?
And it's
it's the first official Disney animated sequel. Well, no, Ralph Breaks the Internet counts. Beat it to it, but it's the first one with a number behind it that's going to the theaters.
Well, I guess you can argue The Rescuers Down Under from 1990. That's the...
Okay, yes, that one was the first. You are right. I will stand corrected.
Yep.
You are right.
Yep.
But, regardless, yes, I think our next one, we could do a live reaction to it. Like, we could just discuss it, then you can cut in our reactions. Like, what the fuck? What the hell is this stupid bullshit?
I'm so looking forward to it. Let's do it. So, bottom line, we're done dragging this out longer than it needs to. So
this is how our podcasts go, people. We just don't know when to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So, anyways, speaking of shutting the fuck up, we'll shut the fuck up now. Go see Joker. It is that good, and if you know me personally, I rarely speak highly of film nowadays. I rarely do it. And so when I say it's good, I mean it's good.
Yeah, and having to talk to good buddies like MorphBox here, then yeah, he's really changed my perspective on how the film industry is now and mainstream Hollywood. I just adore him for that.
Well, I mean, I had the same mentality as Mahler and all these other people. It's like, I just want good movies.
Yeah.
Can we please get good movies again? That's all I'm asking. Right. I don't want to shit on it. I like movies when they're good.
Yeah. Let's just have something good for once. And Joker is good. So
now can we get a good kids movie again, please? One that doesn't insult people's intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, How to Train Your Dragon 2 or Secret of Nim, you know, those kind of good movies, or classic good Disney movies.
Yes.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. So, okay, we're gonna shut the fuck now. We're gonna shut the fuck up now. We're
No,
done.
we're gonna shut the fuck. We're gonna shut that fuck right now. See that fuck across your screen? We're gonna shut it.
There we go.
We're gonna shut it and never open it again.
And you're going to see more funny wisecracks from MorphBox as well. So that's all we have to say for this little rant and discussion.
By the way, I tell a lie. You will see waifus at the end of this. Have a good day.
Yes. Yes. Au revoir.